Brian, you guys jumped out to that fast start. What did you see change on the floor from that point to the first quarter?
Both teams just settled in. We knew we were playing a very good team. So we knew it wasn't going to be a blowout tonight, and we had to win the game throughout 48 minutes. So we got out to a really good start, but both teams settled in and just came down to execution.
Did you see anything with the different in this game from the last couple, LeBron? Anything different on the floor, the way you guys were flowing?
No, I thought we had some great looks, that didn't go down for us, that actually went down for us the last couple games, especially Kuz's looks. He had some great looks tonight, and I think the one that he made by their bench was the toughest one out of all the shots that he had. And we had some good looks around the rim that didn't go in, and they capitalized off some of our mistakes that we had offensively.
Dave?
LeBron, Frank said that he didn't feel like the team got enough good looks for Anthony. He thought it was more on the team and getting him incorporated than anything Anthony did. What did you make of AD's night?
We always got to do a better job of finding him, looking for him, and that's on us.
Kyle?
Hey, LeBron, I actually have an off-court question today. You said before that you had to kind of expect the unexpected in 2020. When you think about, what you've done this year, had to adapt with I Promise and More Than a Vote, what are some of your lessons and takeaways from 2020 and how it's forced you to evolve those efforts?
That no matter what's going on, you can always still make an impact. No matter, the world has literally been completely shut down for months and months and months, and but I've been able to, and my team been able to still try to hit home in our community, still try to make an impact. Obviously, keeping in mind, COVID and everything that's going on with the pandemic, but just trying to be as proactive, as trying to be as resourceful. Trying to be as inspirational and also continue to empower people like we were able to do with more than a vote, getting people out to understand their power, that they have their power and their right, rightfully so. Even through a global pandemic, you can still make an impact for the greater good.
Last two questions. Dan?
LeBron, you guys are going to head out on a road trip for the first time, the preseason, I guess, but what's it like to get ready to travel the country right now? And also, I guess, from a basketball standpoint, how unique is it going to be playing these kind of couplets, these little mini series against teams the way you're going to do here in San Antonio, Memphis?
Well, it's going to be different. It's going to be very challenging just to hit the road. Which we haven't done much. Obviously the Phoenix trip, but, it was a preseason game. You didn't want to put too much into it, but, now this is the kind of, it's the real deal where all the games count. So it's going to be very different, we believe, going down to Texas and then headed to Tennessee. We see what, counties are, what's the rules and regulations in certain counties compared to ours. But more importantly, just trying to stay safe, stay healthy, so we can be available for the games. Go out and play our game, go out and play Laker basketball and see what goes from there.
LeBron James, I feel like this is a nightly occurrence. Just another milestone. You look at Cap with 1,509 games with 10 points or more. He's number one all-time. Karl Malone, 2. Dirk is 3. And there's LeBron James passing Kevin Garnett, 4th all-time. He also has 999 straight games. So against San Antonio, he can make it 1,000 with 10-plus points or more. Let's go back to Staples. AD speaking with the media.
That's good, though. The thing about Mark is he's a really good defender. He knows positioning. He knows the angles, and that's what he uses to his best ability.
KCP scored 14 points in the loss, making 4 of 5 from 3. Speaking with Allie Clifton.
Coming into tonight, obviously back into the back-to-back, you guys got off to a great start in the first, opened up the third on a nice run. How would you describe kind of what made the difference down the stretch and what Portland was able to do to close this one out?
I think what the Portland did, they turned up their intensity, the pressure. They forced turnovers for us, and they made shots on the other end.
When it comes to obviously making shots, you got a guy like Dame that you guys are all accustomed to, and CJ. How does it change the game plan when you got a guy like Gary Trent finding his rhythm in which he did tonight, 20 off the bench?
It changes a lot. We know our game plan was coming in for CJ and Dame, knowing they was gonna get all the shots up. But Gary Trent came in and he was on tonight. I don't even think he missed a three. But things like that we got to stop. We can't let a third guy at least get over 25, 30, knowing that Dame and CJ is gonna do that as well.
Last one for me, Contavious. Obviously, you guys as a team take a lot of pride on the defensive end of the floor. We know, of course, it's short in the off-season, not a whole lot of time in training camp. How would you describe kind of where you guys are on that end this early in the season and kind of where you guys need to evolve the most?
I feel like our communication need to get better. We still lack that on the defensive end because new guys, trying to figure it out and stuff like that. But I feel like it's our chemistry is building fast, as we expected. We still learning each other, but we just look forward to just getting that chemistry together.
All right, Rob, you're up again. Little Access 360. Yes, you are. Again, we're going to run it back with LeBron all-around game.
You know what? Sometimes you got to do it 3 times.
Trying to
get
you some shots up.
Oh, I know, man. Give me the rock, man. Give me the rock.
Tonight, 2 possibilities likely here. He maybe came into contact with someone who had COVID, in which case he would have to quarantine for 7 days, which would mean he would miss tonight's game and 3 games on the upcoming road trip. The other possibility is he tested positive for it, in which case he would be out for 10 days with no exercise. Then he could exercise individually for 2 more days after that, and then you kind of have your testing from there. So we don't know the details. It could be just a contact tracing thing. And the Lakers are not the only team going through this. The Houston Rockets have 4 guys who have been out for almost a week now, including some pretty good players, Eric Gordon, DeMarcus Cousins. Those guys have been out since opening night because they came into contact with someone who did have COVID.
Good stuff from you, Brez. James, I feel like we've had a lot of conversations. It's been in our life over the last 9 months.
Yeah.
The bubble, the NBA did an incredible job. We've seen NFL, college sports over the last 4 months, how they've been able to navigate through this, some tough times, players missing games. NBA's just getting started. Big game. How do you feel navigating through this is going to be? It's going to be tough for every team.
It's going to be difficult because, Murphy's Law is just going to come into play. If you're out of that bubble and you're traveling on airplanes, you're going to different cities, you're home in Los Angeles, you're going to the grocery store, you're doing things that you were not doing, the chances are you're going to run into it at some point. I mean, it is hard to just stay home and go to practice. I stay home, I go outside, I play golf, I come to work, that's about it. These guys, they have to go to the training facility, they have to go to airports, they have to do a lot of things and also keep up with their other activities, non-basketball related, foundations, things of that nature. No, they're doing a lot of stuff virtually, but it's going to be a huge challenge for the NBA because now they fall under the same circumstances as the NFL, college sports, and all the other entities.
Rob, we just had this conversation off camera the last time you were here. You haven't been to Houston in a long time, right? You just stay home,
yes.
and it's hard.
It's hard. I think about I got a grandson now.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen him yet. I haven't seen him yet because COVID keeps you stuck in the house, and it kind of deters you from doing things, even though you want to do them. But the safety of yourself, your family, and the elders of your family. You don't want to get anybody sick. And I think about how hard it is for these guys to do this because they're traveling. Just think about if you'd have played in the game tonight. All the people who came in contact from the refs, and that's how it spreads. And you want people to stay safe, and you want people to be responsible and wear masks and wash their hands and have antibacterial. You laugh. If you get in my truck right now, it's about 5 packages of antibacterial wipes. Every time I do something, I'm wiping myself down. And I'm just,
they have
not
families,
for me.
they have kids.
It's for my wife who has a heart condition.
Yeah.
So I'm more worried about her than I am myself and my kids. And so you got to be safe, and it's best to have this precaution. And it basically boils down to this is going to be the 1 year in the NBA where the bench is so important because you never know who's going to get COVID.
Yeah, one last note. Caruso, the only Laker who did not play tonight because of COVID protocols. So maybe just a one-off scenario. Maybe he knew somebody. If that's the case, it's definitely not a Houston Rockets type of situation at this point.
All right, thanks, guys. Let's hear from Frank Vogel. He's speaking with Mike and the media.
Hey, Frank, what did you see after you got to that 13-point lead in the first quarter? Did you see something switch?
Well, I thought we came out with great energy, obviously, and sort of jumped on them, built up that early lead. We just weren't able to sustain it, for whatever reason. Portland's a very good team, and they made their counters with their energy and made their runs. And when they made their runs, we just weren't able to sustain the energy we began the game with.
Frank, AD got some post-ups in the second half. Seemed like he got going a little bit. I just wondered what you thought of his game overall in that first half, especially.
Yeah, I just think we didn't do a good enough job making sure he was involved in the offense in the first half. We just got to do a bit better job of that. But certainly a little bit better in the second half. Just one of those nights we were kind of stuck in mud a little bit. I don't know if because we played last night or whatever. But after we came out strong to start out of the gates, just had trouble sustaining that energy and intensity.
Just any early thoughts on closing lineups? I know it's something that fluctuated from game to game last season, but anything on tonight in that group that you saw for most of the fourth quarter?
Yeah, well, we're a new team, so we're going to continue to look at different things. We can play with Mark or Trez finishing. We have the ability to slide AD over the 5. I hadn't had Keith in the game because we wanted to have a ball handler in there with Bron during that stretch where Keith normally plays. So he would have been cold to put him in late. And I like the lineup that we had out there, but we just weren't able to get the job done.
Dave?
Frank, staying on AD, you mentioned that it was kind of on the team to get him better looks. Was there anything on him that he could have done to put himself in a better position, come to the ball more often? Was it just on the team, or was there anything that he could have done as well?
Yeah, I think it really starts with the group. We just weren't moving the ball that well. I got to make sure that I get him the ball in opportunities where he can be aggressive. Because when we do that, we know he's aggressive and carries a big load for us. So it's really on the group.
Bill?
Hey, Frank. Obviously, Portland has really dynamic guards, so maybe this is more noticeable given the matchup. But just what did you feel like you missed with Alex not out there tonight?
We miss Alex. Alex has great energy. He's one of our most vocal guys, even when he's not in the game. Just talking out coverages, and he's like an assistant coach over there. And helping guys through defending actions, and he's a big part of what we do, obviously. So we certainly missed his energy tonight.
We'll take 3 more questions. Kyle Bloom.
Yeah, Frank, just Marc Gasol seemed like he had some good defensive moments, but didn't make the passing influence he had. And Trez, it seemed like he was still trying to find his scoring self even late into the game. What's sort of the balance of trying to find some of those key situations where each guy can play, and then how did you tonight sort of make a grade on choosing which of those guys to put in the closing lineup?
Yeah, we're going to have the ability to go with either one of those guys or to slide AD at the 5 like we talked about. And, we just, obviously Trez had a strong night last night. I liked his ability, with what they were doing defensively. With Trez being able to flash to the rim on AD's post-ups, or with him rolling in the pick and roll game, but that group just wasn't able to get the job done. Like I said, it's early in the season. We'll continue to look at a lot of different combinations.
Last 2, Jovan.
Hey, Frank, you guys had to play up in your pick and roll coverages because of Dame and CJ's ability to shoot off the dribble. I'm curious how you felt the bigs did in their defensive coverages, as well as in the fourth quarter and maybe some of those breakdowns.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty good for the first time in our scheme. Like I said, we haven't had a whole lot of practice time. Obviously, what we did in the playoffs, you have a whole 2 weeks to lock into one opponent. This is the second night of back-to-back, so there's not a lot of reps to, for new guys to get involved. But I thought they did a good job. I think the bigger thing more than Dame's going to be Dame. CJ's always tough to guard, but we didn't get Gary Trent under control. I think that was one of the biggest things with the bench. He came in and lit us up, and if you look at the box score, that's where the separation really existed. In a plus-minus, from a plus-minus standpoint, is their bench combinations, not just their bench, because obviously Dame or CJ's out there just like we have LeBron or Anthony out there, but those minutes is where they sort of separated themselves.
Last question, Dan.
Frank, you talked a little bit about rim protection last night. Obviously, it's not going to be the same as it was a year ago when you lose guys like JaVale and Dwight. I think you led the league in blocks last year. Can you do that other ways? Is it with Trez as a charge taker? Are there kind of different ways to protect the rim, and how do you think that's going to sort of play out here as this team kind of figures out what it's going to do defensively?
Yeah, I don't think we should be any worse than we were last year. There's going to be a high expectation of protecting the basket. And you just said it right there, Trez with his charge taking and shot blocking. He's a good shot blocker too, and obviously Mark is a former defensive player of the year. So we have everything we need to get the job done there.